Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai. Om Satyam Param Dhimai.
Try to feel the breath as it moves in and out. The breath moves with the blood throughout the body. Feel this movement. We'll relax the body. Use our attention to relax the body. We'll start with the head. Take your attention to the head. The forehead. Relax the forehead. 2 eyes and around the eyes. Ears, the nose, the cheeks, 2 lips, the teeth, the gums, the tongue, the chin, relax the jawbone, the neck, the 2 shoulders, 2 hands, relax the back, the chest, the stomach, the 2 legs. Feel the deep relaxation of the body. The body is like an empty vessel. Just the breath is moving in and out. Let your presence fill that empty space. एक खाली जगह अपना होआ पड़ा सी भरी हुई. Feel your own presence. I am here, I am present. The sensitivity of being present. The feeling of now. I am sitting here, but I am sitting here now. The upliftment of presence. Feel your breath and feel your presence. Divide your attention between breath and presence. Try to hold both the feelings together. Breath is in the present moment. Presence is in eternity. શ્વાસ વર્તમાન ક્ષણમાં છે, હોવાપણું શાશ્વતતામાં છે. One day the breath will stop, the body will fall down, but presence will always be there. presence is Purush, God. Breath is Prakriti, nature. Slowly the music will be switched off. Try to hold both the feelings for a few moments. We are together for the next 1.25 hours. Throughout the session, try to hold your presence. Slowly open your eyes. Very good. Jai Shri Krishna. Tomorrow is Buddha Purnam, that is the full moon in the constellation of Vishakha. So tomorrow is actually a holiday, so we are not going to be meeting tomorrow. So let us today talk a little bit about what happened 2,500 years ago. The story is that when he was around 34, Siddhartha left the palace. He was struck by certain scenes of suffering and he said that, is there a way to be free of suffering? So he left his palace, he left his wife and child, young child. And for 6 years he roamed from one master to another master. And he did everything which the master said, but he had not found the seed of suffering. He couldn't find the cause of suffering. And then the master would tell him that everything that could be taught, I have taught you. You please go on, go somewhere else. So he would go somewhere else. And then he came to a point where there was nothing left to be learned. So he went deep into the forests. And he said, maybe if we work on fear. And he started observing his fear. And in the deep forest, if a leaf moved, you would feel a snake has come. Or if there was some sound, you would feel some wild animal has come. And in 3 months, he overcame his fear. And still he had not found the truth. So then he said that let's fast. So he started fasting. And after fasting for so long, he saw that even with fasting he couldn't get it. So then he said, this life is useless, it's not worth living this life. So it was a rainy night and the river Niranjana was in flood. And he thought he would jump into the waters and give up his life. He was already very weak from fasting. And he went to the river and he jumped in. He was taken away by the waters, flood. And something came in his hand, some creeper, some vine. And he was able to pull himself to the other shore. And there he was lying in an unconscious state. A young girl, 12-year-old girl, her name was Sujata. And she was the daughter of the chief of the village, the mukhya of the village. And the mukhya told her that you please go to the temple and offer this kheer, rice pudding to the god. So she was walking along towards the temple, and on the banks of the river she saw this thin, naked man over there. And she thought that instead of giving this kheer to the god in the temple, I give it to him. And she fed him, and he woke up out of his unconsciousness. There was this young boy there of 11 who was tending the buffaloes. His name was Swasti. And he thatched up some grass and made a kind of mat. And he sat under the tree which we today call the Bodhgaya tree, the Bodhi tree. And it is said that he sat the whole night. There are only two chains which bond us. One is desire and the other is memory. He had already freed himself from desire. But in that night, he went into his memory, and each scene of his life came in front of him, and he started separating from it. The scenes when he must have been a child, when he was in the palace, when he left his wife and children. And slowly it came to a state where the mind was totally without any content. Everything was empty. And it is said that he opened his eyes and he saw the morning star Venus in the sky. And the sun rose, and he had sat the whole night. And the sun rose, and with the rays of the sun, the star vanished, and with that, Siddhartha vanished. The mind vanished. And he was Buddha, the awakened one. Beautiful story. And he turned out to be the most successful teacher ever in the history of man. So, this Buddha Purnima, tomorrow, that tree, people go to worship that tree today also. It's still a witness. Somewhere in that tree, that witness, that sensitivity to that experience, that happening. It's not the original tree. When Ashoka Maurya, who turned to Buddhism, when his daughter was getting married to the prince of Lanka, he, for the dowry of his daughter, he sent a sapling of cutting of this tree which Buddha was enlightened under. The tree in Bodhgaya died, but the tree in Ceylon was still there, in Sri Lanka. And so after independence, our government got a cutting of that tree and replanted it in Bodhgaya. But it's still that original tree. Now, three of his, what you call his sayings, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami. So today I want to talk on something which is the opposite of what we were talking about. We were talking about internal considering. I want to talk about external considering today. So there are three lines of work, three lines which we have to follow. The first is work on self. Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, work upon self. And this work on self follows, it starts with two things: self-observation, bringing the light of observation into our psychic nature, observing our thoughts and emotions, and non-expression of negative emotion. This is the beginning of work on self. After moving a little bit on the line of work on self, we start working with others. Now, this is very different in the sense that this is a concept which has come from Gautam Buddha. Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. This was not prevalent in the religions in India before Buddha. Even Patanjali talks about a state called Kaivalyam, isolated aloneness. The final state is Kaivalyam. Kaivalyam, aloneness, oneness. He does not talk about working with others. He only talks about work on self. The Jains live in communities, the sadhus, but when you go in their communities, each one is working on self. There is no group work. There is no working with the others. But to work with the others, so something we need which is called external considering. After some time, it is always helpful to seek out other people who are working on themselves, to exchange notes with them, to see, the other can see where we are stuck, where we are still in some kind of illusion. Some kind of illusion. A person who is only self-centered, who only thinks about himself, cannot progress very far. He does the first line of work, that is, he works upon himself. So even if you go into the Jain communities, you see them living together, but each one is working on self. There is no group work over there. And this, I think that today's brain, today's man must be able to balance both, work on self and work with others. There cannot just be work on self. We cannot become an avadhut and go to the Himalayas or go to the forest. There has to be a balance of both these. So a person who only thinks about himself only does the first line of work. And he will progress to a certain point, but then he will have to work with others. Others are the mirror. They mirror what we are. Relationship is the mirror. The wife is the mirror. Now, just as work on self starts with self-observation and non-expression of negative emotion, work with others starts with enduring other people's unpleasantness. To be able to endure all the negativity which other people throw on us. This is the first step. Can we endure, or do we just react immediately? If we cannot endure, we've not taken the first step into the second line of work with others, Sangham Sharanam Gacchami. The third line of work is very far away, work for the work. It is a different thing, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami. So, we must practice this. Don't run away from other people's negativity. It is a good practice to create the power of endurance inside us. Don't say that this fellow always criticizes me. This fellow always sees what is negative in me. Use it. Use it to create inner will and inner endurance. Will comes from the heart. One day we will talk about what is will, real will. So that is the first step. The step of enduring other people's negativity without reacting, other people's unpleasantness, other people's negative emotions. The next step is external considering, putting yourself in the other's shoes, to be able to live in the other's shoes. We have a fixed mechanical way of taking in other people due to deeply ingrained attitudes and prejudices. There are fixed pathways in our brain. When I see someone, that impulse goes along a fixed pathway and it is interpreted automatically. And it is usually interpreted by a deep set attitude inside. We don't realize that these attitudes have been formed very early in childhood. Valado. And attitudes is the deepest thing which binds our being. Deeper than attitude is only one thing: everybody has a chief weakness. So, supposing we say how many strings of bondage are there. The first is the chief weakness, the second is attitudes, then a whole group of habits. There are binds and binds of habits. Habits in the intellectual center, habits in the emotional center, habits in the moving center. All kinds of, we are a bundle of habits. Everything we say, everything we think about is borrowed from someone else. Nothing is original, it's all habit. I've read it somewhere. We feel something is new when we fall in love. But every word we say is borrowed from some movie, from some... The emotional center is a bundle of habits. The moving center, habits. Are we going from here? Yes.
I remember you said that the first step is to handle negativity that comes your way, right? But negativity that comes your way is a reflection of yourself, because it wouldn't come sitting in your conscious. That's what you said before. Because no one's going to give it to you unless it is a projection of yourself from your subconscious.
That's a very good way of seeing it. No?
But is it? So then the question is then, how much are you supposed to endure as an ordinary person, or do you need a guru to help you? Because it's not possible.
It's what your aim is. It's what your aim is. If your aim is to be free of negativity, then...
Do we have the capacity to endure it as an ordinary person who's not enlightened?
Well, I suppose that we practice, right? And every married person does endure. Okay, observe married people, right? Each is enduring something of the other, negative manifestations. And see the beauty with the Indian system. You just don't marry the husband or the wife, you marry a family, right? So then you're enduring other people's negativity at the same time, maybe mother-in-law, father-in-law, this, that, etc. Now this is the situation in which you have been put to endure. So I don't see how we can, escape from it. The only real way to be free of it is to rise above it. No? And why not? It's worth it. Worth it. Just imagine if somebody was to throw all the negativities at you and nothing in you moves. On the contrary, you are uplifted to a state of compassion, seeing where the negativity is coming from, the prison in which the person is who is saying all this negativity, giving you all this negativity. Negativity can become a platform to rise into a higher state. Ordinarily, we do not experience compassion. We experience sympathy, not compassion. Compassion is a very high state. Right? And to be in a state of compassion only comes through enduring other people's negativity. It takes time, yeah?
So, in other words, it's like, I don't care attitude. Like, I don't know how to say it. It's like, I don't care. Like, you develop an attitude to say, I don't care.
No. It's not, I don't care. It is, I understand. It is, I understand. See, I don't care is a dead attitude. We are moving on a path where we are becoming more and more sensitive, more and more receptive, more and more alive. I don't care is a dead leaf. We don't want an I don't care attitude. That means I'm holding on everything inside, but outwardly I'm showing I don't care. There's no freedom in I don't care. Right? So I don't care attitude. It's an understanding attitude that if somebody is throwing poison at me, then he has a wound inside from which the poison is coming out. And I am able to see that wound. I am able to see where it is coming from. And because of that, seeing that, I am thrown into a state of compassion for that person. Understand what I am trying to say? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. See, what understanding would we have if we get upset at the slightest criticism? There's no inner understanding, no? If somebody was to just say a few words about us, or we overhear somebody said this about us, there's no inner understanding. We must grow out of understanding. Anyway, today I'm not going to talk about that. I'm talking about external considering. What I'm trying to say is that we always see a person through attitudes. And attitudes are very deep. Now try to go into the instinctive center. Now the instinctive center is something which is pre-programmed. It is the other centers in a young child are still empty. They have not yet gathered anything. But the instinctive center is full at birth. It is already pre-programmed by nature. No bird teaches its young how to build a nest. It has come pre-programmed. Right? So there is one center in us which is pre-programmed. Now just see this instinctive center, that when somebody comes close to us, we have a kind of space, and if somebody invades that space, immediately we start feeling hostile towards that person. Now, can you see instinctively in the center in which has been pre-programmed by nature, we already have a kind of recording, a kind of pattern that says, I do not like other people. Because anybody who invades the space, immediately our muscles get tense, we start feeling hostile inside. Somebody passes close to us, we tense our muscles immediately. And this is pre-programmed in every human being. So, a very good exercise is not to pretend that we like people, but to work on our dislike inside. You see, when we pretend that we like people, we don't see the dislike inside, it is covered up. And it is very easy to dislike another person. Very, very easy. And the minute this happens, it starts growing. It starts growing within. So as long as we are holding a lot of dislikes inside, we cannot practice the opposite of what we were talking about, internal considering, which we are calling external considering. We must work on our dislikes. If we do not work on our dislikes, they will start growing and growing within us. And so many people, they are just full of so many dislikes. In food they dislike, in clothes they dislike, in people they dislike, in everything there is dislike. They are full of dislikes. Can you see? It's one body-brain system full of acid. Mane gamtu nathi, I don't like. Now, if we have practiced in the last few days a little bit of self-observation, then we will see that we have two memories of people. One when we are in a negative state and one when we are in a positive state. When we are in a negative state, we automatically, unpleasant things start coming out from the memory. And when we are not in a negative state, we forget those unpleasant things. And they are both lying in the memory. So, somebody was saying yesterday, I don't remember, yesterday or the day before, that treat the other with, fairness and treat the other with, cordiality. What should we do? What should we do? Is it right? What should we do? What is the right way?
Treat others as you treat yourself.
And how do we treat ourselves? We are always in bad company. How do we treat ourselves? Can we make it into two things? How I treat others outside and how I treat others inside. Right? And be good with others outside, rather can I treat them good inside. Right? This treating others good outside is a false personality. It's a part of false. It's all imaginary because inside I'm still a mess. Right? So the practice has to be to treat people good inside. Am I treating that person fairly inside? So immediately I dislike a person, start looking inside. What is going on inside? What kind of memories are coming? What kind of thoughts are coming? What kind of emotions are coming? And I want to treat the person good inside. The outside should be a reflection of what is inside. So we have some kind of notion what fair treatment means, what good treatment means in regard to our outer person. But how do we treat the person inside? And to be fair in ourselves, to treat a person well inside requires tremendous effort. It's not something which is going to happen automatically. It's very easy to treat a person good outside, well outside, cordially outside. But how do we treat him inside? And this is where external considering begins. It has nothing to do with external, it has everything to do with internal. Can you see that we get a negative thought about somebody, a series of negative thoughts, a series of feelings which are negative about somebody, and at that very moment our whole consciousness is polluted inside. So much talk of chimney pollution, but at that moment our consciousness is totally polluted. We've allowed something to come in. We've allowed something to sprout inside. Now it's going to multiply like a cancer inside. And this is unpleasant material. This is dirty material which we are holding on to in our consciousness, in our minds. It harms the other, it harms us much more. And it requires great intelligence and sincerity to see this and to treat that person, to neutralize all this dirty material which we have inside. This is hard work. So that is why we say external considering is putting yourself in the other's shoes, wearing his shoes, in his place. Now, as long as we justify any of our negative states, we can never externally consider. As long as we justify. See, my wife is telling me something, right? And she is bombarding it, right? Maybe my wife's in Bombay actually just now. So I have this small place in Bombay, and it's just a one bedroom apartment. And it's very handy because on all my travels, I spend a few days in Bombay. And so she must have come after 3 or 4 years. She's telling me on the phone this morning that 4 years ago I emptied a packet of wafers in a box. It's still in the box. What kind of person are you? Now, it's very easy to get irritated. It's very easy to get irritated. This is the path of least resistance. It's very easy to get irritated. And the minute we are irritated, all this dirty material has come into our brain, into our consciousness. And this is the point where we have to work. If we can't do it here, nothing else in life has any meaning. Doing puja, doing this has no meaning, because again in the same situation we are going to get irritated. What is the point? Nothing. And the minute I show a little irritation, wives are very, very smart, So say, are you getting irritated? And then what do? We justify our irritation. No, I am not getting irritated. No, I'm not getting. We justify it. And we create a kind of buffer, like there was a shock, but the train has a buffer, right? No shock. And we think we've done something, justifies the whole thing. There is no place for justification. In the whole of sadhana, all the work which we do inside, we don't justify anything because truth needs no justification. Truth stands on its own feet. The minute I justify, no, this is just one time I got angry, otherwise I was not getting angry. Right? Justify. Put yourself right. Never put yourself right. Say there was a slip in consciousness, and this happened. But I did this for everyone's good. Right? And for the husband it's very easy to say that, okay, what I'm doing is for the family and this and that, and justify so many things. So, the minute, as long as we justify our negative states, we cannot enter into this practice of external consideration. External consideration. My Guru used to keep saying that never defend yourself. Let your life speak for itself. Never defend yourself. But we defend small things in every relationship. Something I've said to you, it has hurt you, and then I'll come back. I didn't mean that. Then what did you mean? Maro matlab nato. I didn't mean that. So try to remember whenever we feel like judging somebody, whenever we feel like criticizing somebody, always try to remember the poisons we are holding inside. Don't throw it on someone. Understand where that person is coming from. See, it is so easy to say he is wrong. It is so easy for me to tell my wife that you are wrong, but I had no time. I come, but I don't cook food, and it's very easy to say. Or some people say, no, but in this instance, I have a right to be negative. I have a right to be angry. There is nothing like a right to be angry. There is nothing like a right to be angry. He has not treated me well, he owes me, I have done so much for him, and this is how he repays me. All this is wrong inner accounting. Right? We cannot externally consider. And all this is the basis of all our relationships in life. Now, to consider externally, we have to make the effort of thinking ourselves to be the other person. This is an immense inner effort, tremendous inner effort. Having to do the same things, having the same difficulties, the same handicaps, the same life. We have to live his situation. Only then can we externally consider. And we can never do this if we are always occupied with our personal problems. Our small griefs and the way people treat us, we have to bring the personal out of our life to be able to move into the other. If everything is personal in life, then we are still in a state of internal consideration. External considering is a conscious act. Internal consideration is totally mechanical, so requires no effort. It is the path of least resistance. She is at fault, or he did this. Is the path of least resistance. There is no consciousness required. To put ourselves consciously in the position of the other, to see ourselves in him and him in us. Don't think this is the same mechanical way we help someone. We see somebody is in need and we help him. We see somebody is in suffering and we help him. This is not external considering. This is the mechanical way everything happens in life. The blind lead the blind. So don't think that just because I have helped somebody, I have externally considered. It has nothing to do with that.
How would you treat somebody, say like a drug addict then, or somebody you work with that's taking drugs?
You have to become that person. It's very difficult because we have our own attitudes. And suddenly this person is talking about so many multiple relationships that he or she is having. And if we see it from an attitude of morality or something, then there can be no help. We have to understand that person as he or she is.
Yeah, but do you rather not interact with that person?
You interact.
Or should you make the extra effort to actually...
Make the extra effort. Make the extra effort. But look inside. This is what we want to do. Our aim is this. To help the person by seeing the person within us. Not helping the person out of sympathy or pity. That only feeds our ego. It becomes a part of false personality. And there's always, it will lead to inner accounting. Tomorrow if that person criticizes us, then the opposite will come out. That I helped him. And now he's doing this to me. So I really not helped him. Right? I felt pity, that's why I did it. Can you see the difference? We must reflect the other person in ourselves as a mirror. We find the same thing in ourselves. Now, work on self starts with self-observation, moves into something called self-remembering. I have not talked about self-remembering, what we call Atma Smaran, Surati. What the Bhakti yogis call as Surati. Self-remembering. I take it one of these days. Now, the Guru gives many different techniques of self-remembering. And one of the techniques of self-remembering is, when was I in the same situation? Right? Just now, say you're giving me a whole load of negativity, right? So, instead of looking at that, I go back, when was I giving a load of negativity to someone else? You get it? Now, this is a technique for self-remembering, Atma Smaran. It's a very, very deep thing to go back. And it is something which we have to practice over a long period of time. And suddenly there is a change in attitude. I see you, you're giving me negativity, and now there is no reaction. I go back to a place where I was giving negativity to somebody else. And I remember the sensitivity of it. I remember the emotional feeling of it. I remember the atmosphere of it. I see you in myself. This is real Atma Smaran, to remember your own Atma. It is the beginning. And if we can't do this, then that is very far away. See, in today's life, bhakti does not mean putting a statue and doing a kirtan. You have to live it every moment of your life. Otherwise, forget singing bhajans and all that. It has no meaning at all. You're just, what do you call, man manawani baat. It's nonsense. Don't do it.
Technique of remembering. What if someone gives you negativity, but it's your past life?
Your
Past life negativity that you had given to that person. You can't remember that.
Go back into it. Go back into it. Remembering is the most powerful thing we have. Because we are God, we have forgotten. See, so the more we go into remembering, not brooding, we go into brooding. There's a big difference. Right? You hit me 20 years ago, that is brooding. But remembering, when I hit someone and living that state again, then I'll understand this person immediately. And it's all there. It's all there. I'm going to talk about memory one day. The roles in the center, how everything is recorded. The different centers, the intellectual memory, the emotional memory. So, see. So listen to the person as if he is inside us. Make room for him inside us. Through proper self-observation and self-knowledge, we already know where the same thing already exists in us. We already know that we have done this before. What he is doing to us, we already know. We have observed inside. And just bring it out. Just go back into it. Remember when I was in that state. And just the finding of when I was in that state may help the other person more than my really helping him. Can you understand? Then I'll be able to show him the right path. How I got out of this state. The right path. There I'm just giving him something to help him and he's going to go back into the same pattern some other time. Right? Now, work with others. Work with others. The real meaning of intelligence means to see the truth of something. And the truth of the thing is that what he is giving to me, I already am. That is the truth, but I've forgotten. I can't remember in this instance, in this reaction to him, that what he is giving to me, I already am. See, one of the beautiful things of studying the Mahabharata as an objective science is that there are these 101 Kauravas, right? And they live in everybody. Supposing you are cheating me, then I say it is Shakuni. I say it is Shakuni. What difference does it make whether Shakuni is in him or Shakuni is in? It is the same Shakuni. Now do you understand what I'm trying to say? This is an objective art, the Mahabharata. If I am saying all this is mine and I'm not going to give it to anyone, it's my self-love. He is my friend, he better not go to your house for lunch or dinner or whatever. Right? It's my self-love. Duryodhana. Now, Duryodhana is common in everybody. Right? Can you see? So, when we study the Mahabharata, suddenly we realize that these are 101 characters which are in everyone. And that is why people come to me and I see the Janam Patri, whether I get along with this girl or not get along with this girl. And I say, whatever you do, 101 are there in everyone. You are marrying 101 Kauravas. So, external considering is a deep internal act based on an increase of consciousness. This is the beginning of real love. Can you see what we call love is nothing but attraction and repulsion. This is the first time we enter into a state of love where there has been no attraction, no repulsion. It is by understanding the other person's difficulties within us. It is conscious love. And once that consciousness gets tinged with love, nothing can change it. It cannot fall from there. Right? But today I am attracted to somebody, then I stay with her for a few months, then I start hating the same person. Attraction, repulsion. This is not being noble. That, okay, you have said so much to me, but I am not going to say anything to you. This is not being noble. We are not sacrificing anything over here. That again goes into our ego only. So, these two terms that I want, because we came to what is identification, sarupyam. The deepest identification is internal considering. And in internal considering, we only consider self, and in external considering, we allow that person to come within us. We are living that person. One is objective and one is subjective. Now, when on the first day when we talked about the 4 states of consciousness, we talked about the state called Turiya, the highest state of consciousness. That is an objective state of consciousness. Just by allowing the other person to be within us, going into the state of remembering when I was in that state, living that state, suddenly our consciousness has moved into that state of objective consciousness. It's worth it. It's worth it. Can you see, just by reacting to you, I'm polluting myself, I'm losing everything. And in working on myself and allowing you to come within me and becoming you, I'm reaching to a higher state of samadhi, higher state of consciousness. Let's finish this thing. Now, at what point does internal consideration, inner accounting start? Can anybody say after we've gone through this? Just let us repeat. But at what point does it start? Where does the monkey start? Now chattering, mumbling. She did this, he did that. At what point does it start? And what is it that triggers it? What is it that triggers it? Heard, yeah, but before getting heard, it begins when we feel we have not been estimated properly. Somebody has not put a right value upon us. We feel we have been undervalued. And it can start with any small thing. You go to a restaurant and the waiter comes a little late, it can start from there only. It starts, the monkey starts and the chattering starts. Right? Or you may go to a shop and the shopkeeper, instead of looking at you, looks at some other customer. Gone, started. Can you see? Everywhere is this inner feeling that I have a value and this person is not valuing me. We have put some price on ourselves and everybody must quote a higher price. And if somebody quotes a lower price, we feel hurt inside. Someone in the street, I smiled at him, but he did not say good morning. It all amounts to whether he paid attention to me or not, whether he ignored me or not. And we can start with these small incidents, can't we? And start with the small incidents. Just go to a restaurant. And so many restaurants, the service comes a little late. Actually, in Cape Town, it's pretty late. Bombay, you go to a McDonald's, they have a new thing. They have a sand glass. It's called the 3-minute sandglass. Right? So they put the sandglass, and if your order does not come in that 3 minutes, it is free. It is free. But here if you go to a McDonald's, then the girl is talking with that one, and then it's going from there. Beautiful place to work on self, McDonald's. Why go to an ashram? Why go to an ashram? Nothing like McDonald's. Cape Town. Everything is working in slow motion. So much material for self-observation. So much of material for self-observation. Keep asking yourselves this question on and off, everywhere, wherever you go. What is it in me that gets offended? What is it in me that gets... It is always the false which gets offended. The real can never get offended. Keep asking yourself the same questions. Is it a picture of myself? Have I made a picture of myself that I am so much of value that the shopkeeper should look at me before he looks at everybody else in the line? What is it? Is it some imaginary feeling of myself which I am carrying around? Or is it my false personality? Try to see where we are identified with, what we are identified inside of ourselves. And it can happen anywhere. A man's wife dies, and on the tombstone he writes, "From your heartbroken husband." Can you see the internal consideration? Look at me, I am heartbroken. This is the state we are in. He's only thinking of himself, his own suffering. Now, later on I want to talk one of these days on something called the time body. I don't know whether I touched on it last year. The physical body moves from the past to the future. But in the time body, everything is now. Even 1,000 years ago is now. What state is my time body in? What am I holding in my time body? The physical body dies, the time body does not die. Everything is living in that time body. There is nothing like past. Later on in Patanjali we will come to a sutra. Atit anagata swarupta asti dharmanam ardhva bheda. The past and the future exist in the now. Atit, anatit, the past. Anagat, which has not yet come. Anagat. Anagata swarupta asti. Asti in the now. Swarupta in the form of, it exists in its form exists in the now. Dharmanam ardhva bheda. But the form you see is just the result of some characteristics which have developed, but the others are latent. So, we have a time body where everything exists in the now. And by changing the now, we can change 1,000-year past and 1,000-year future. By changing the now. Just by changing this one point in time. So small incidents in our life upset us, and over a period of time it becomes a habit, and then we are stuck in it. And then we have a big account book where we keep on noting down accounts we have with other people. So just see, what is my time body full of? Is it full of these accounts I've made with other people? Is it full of negative emotions? Based on the idea that other people have treated me badly? Or I have never been misunderstood? Or no one understands me? Why should anyone understand me? Do I understand myself? Why should anyone understand me? समझ तो ना चाहिए. Okay, so tomorrow we'll continue with the Yog Sutra, right? We still have that impression food remaining. No, tomorrow is a holiday. Good break. Okay, I'll just take one small story. Once, when the group of Hasids, they are called the Hasidim, a beautiful sect in the Jews called the Hasids. In all brotherliness, they were seated together. And their guru, his name is Rabbi Israel. The name of their guru is Rabbi Israel. He came with a pipe in his hand and joined them. Because he was so friendly. This is so beautiful in Hasids. The guru is a friend. He's just a friend. They asked him, tell us, dear Rabbi, how should we serve God? How do we serve God? What is seva? Or how do we serve God? The Rabbi was surprised at the question and replied, how should I know? He's the guru and he's saying, how should I know? How do we serve God? I don't know. But then when he went on to tell them this story, so he went and told them another story. There were two friends of the king and both proved guilty of a crime. Both the friends of the king were arrested for a crime. Since the king loved them and wanted to show mercy, but he could not acquit them, he could not set them free because the law was there. Because even a king's word cannot prevail over law. So he gave this verdict. So the king said, a rope was to be stretched over a deep chasm. And one after the other, the two were to walk across it. Whoever reached to the other side was to be granted his life. Of course, the other would fall into the chasm and die anyway. Can you see what he's saying? That you want to serve God, you can only serve God by crossing from this side to that side. There's no other way of serving God. It was done as the king ordered. And the first of the friends got safely across. The other, still standing on the same spot, cried to him, tell me, friend, how did you manage to cross? It's gone. Once this starts, the first call back, I don't know anything, but this, whenever I felt myself toppling over to one side, I leaned to the other. When I felt myself toppling over to one side, I leaned to the other. He's saying something to me, I'm toppling over to one side, just lean to the other. And then you'll cross the chasm. And the other side is God. It's a beautiful sect, the Hasids. And the beauty of the Hasids is that everything is communal. Work for the other, work with the others, everything. They live in small communities. And there's so much of love and friendliness and celebration and dancing and prayer. Each one doesn't work for just himself. They're a typical example of work for the others, work with others. The Hebrew meaning of the word Hasid is pious, but it comes from the noun Hasid, which means grace. If you are in balance, then that state is a grace. Actually, on this path, the real experience is just grace. We can only work for removing the obstacles. If we are ready, then the experience comes. And if we are not ready, it will never come. So there is no complaining on the path. I've been working for so many years and nothing has happened. People come and say, I have been doing these exercises for so many years, nothing has happened. Right? Nothing will ever happen. Because you've complained. It cannot happen. Here on this path there is no complaining. Everything that happens is a grace. And that is sometimes which is very difficult for me also, because I keep teaching you, do this and this will happen, do this and this will happen, and do these exercises, and I know everything will happen through grace. So I'm lying all the time. Still have to do it. So the Hasidis, they're a community. They do nothing. Just the grace will fall. If you are empty inside, if you are simple inside, the grace will come to you. They love life. They love God. They have joy in His creation. And this gives, they have a kind of balance between the spiritual and the material world. They live in a kind of balance, the middle. They don't go to this extreme, they don't go to that extreme. In India, we have what is called Annakshetras, the free kitchens. Even in our ashram we have one. So, the free kitchens, right? And many people come in these free kitchens too. So they are always in need of volunteers. And people work like crazy. And they are always trying to go there to give their volunteer service. And they come back and they talk about how they volunteered for 3 months and this. And they don't realize that they are identified in this volunteering. They don't realize. So the middle, balance between this side and that side. So the first thing which comes is they were seated together in brotherliness. Beautiful, huh? They were all together in brotherliness. Life in a community, no ego, each person is not just an island working for himself. There's a communal, give and take. Not my moksha, my freedom. It's nothing like that. Second thing, the Guru came with a pipe. Right? Such ordinariness. The Guru came with pipe. He's smoking a pipe with the disciples. Came with a pipe. Right? So much of friendliness between master and disciple. This was one of the most beautiful things about my Guru. Before I met my Guru, I was with another teacher. Her name was Vimalaji for 4 years. And after my Guru left the body, a few of us, we were with Vimalaji and we were sitting and talking. So she asked one person, Dr. Atre, his name, he's a very famous management consultant. He's very old, he's over 90. He's written a number of books. And when Dr. Atre he passed his metric examination, he spent 3 months with Raman Maharishi at Raman Maharishi's ashram in Arunachal. And then he spent some time with Arvind in Pondicherry. So Vimalaji was asking him, okay, Dr. Saab, okay, you lived with Raman Maharishi, you spent time with Arvind, what did you find in Tavaria side that you did not find in them? So he said that when I went to Raman was there and I was here. When I went to Arvind was there and I was here. When I came to Tavaria ji, I was here and he was here also. That friendliness. I talked anything under the sun we talked about. There was no distance at all. Right? There was no sitting down or sitting up. Everything was done in this attitude of friendliness. And I knew that he was right there, I knew. And yesterday you were asking me about the, punctuality. I'm not a punctual person. terrible. I was terrible. And he had a whole set day, my Guru. And he had these hands, he would touch someone, something would come out. So people would take him to hospitals and places, and he had this standing taxi downstairs which for twice or thrice a week would take him to hospitals. Now, I was always late. So I had learned this trick because we are clever people. So I would tell his wife, I would call his wife and say, Mama, I'm coming at this time, don't let him go. Now I would be half an hour late as usual. And he would be waiting, and I knew he had so much of other pressure on him. People were calling him and all that. But he would want to go, and the right thing for him was to go. And that guy, if he's late, he's late. But then Mama would intervene. Hey, you wait, he's coming. And he would listen to her. And I played all these kinds of tricks with him. Right? And now when I remember it, there's no guilt. There is still joy of what happened. But still there's that inner pain that I did something like this. And that is why I try to be punctual. So, friendliness, friendship with the Guru. So, then, the whole journey becomes kind of a love affair. Right? And this is what happens when you're working with others. If you can move in love, real love, not attraction and repulsion. Real love comes through understanding. Real love comes through living the other person. It's a deep friendship, and each helps the other. Right? And the Jews they don't give big philosophy. Everything is in parables. Jesus talked through parables. And parables are like bedtime stories. The grandmother is telling you a story at night. And there is no tension of, I have to self-observation and self-remembering, internal considering. Parables. Whoever will reach to the other side was granted his life. And this person, he just got up, walked on the string, and he did the rope, and he reached the other side. He didn't use the logical brain. And the other person, how do I reach the other side? God. And now we have to make a philosophy out of it. Now you have to make a teaching out of it. Right? So, in friendship, in love, there is deep trust. You just get up and start walking. So, two things. Learn in life to remain in the middle. Always remain in the middle. Always what Buddha called, Buddha Purnima, Majjhim Nikaya. The Majjhim, the middle path. And there's the famous story of Buddha, that one person came to him, that my wife is very stingy. So he went to the wife and he closed his fist. What would you call a person whose fist does not open? Right? And she would say it's not normal. So if it's always open, it's not normal. So learn, and that wife changed overnight. And there Buddha says that Majjhim Nikaya, the middle path. In life, neither to the left, neither to the right. In India, we drive on the left. On America, they drive on the right. Neither to the left, neither to the right. The middle path. And the middle path is God. The middle path is God. Then you will cross the chasm. And the chasm is every moment. It's not something which we cross over time. Every moment. Are we living in balance? Are we in a state of balance? Are we looking inside? Are we seeing what is coming up inside? Are we separating from ourselves? All this is part. Anyway, I'll stop over here. Any questions?
Not a question, just a request. At one of the days, if you could just touch on destiny. Destiny. I just said in different interpretations of destiny. I'd just like to know.
We'll take karma, the law of accident, the law of cause and effect, the law of fate, and the law of destiny. So I'll explain it in 4 different. I think we take it this time. Right? There are 4 different kinds of karma. Right? So we take each one and try to see what it is. Yes, sir.
Nothing very philosophical. Yesterday you mentioned about the possibility of writing a book. I wanted to suggest that if you write a book, you use the pseudonym Deepak Chopra. It will sell millions. I'm not sure if Chopra is a literal translation of Chopra, but it's a lot of Chopra.
Right. Let's see, I think the time is coming close where the book will come.
Write the book in Cape Town.
Pardon?
Write the book in Cape Town.
You need discipline to write a book, an inner discipline to write a book. Sometimes I feel I'm a tramp. Yes, sir.
Just define a time body for it, please.
Pardon?
Define time body. Thank you.
See, what I'm trying to say is that time is not something, the past is not something dead. It is living. And it is living in something called the time body, Kal Sharir, what we call it. Okay. I'll take it one of these days. I'll take it, because when I'm going to take memory, I'm going to take it. And the next sutra will be Vrittaya, Panchataya, Klishta, Aklishta, and which are the 5 vrittis? One of them is memory. So when I take memory, I'll take the time body. Yeah.
A little bit off the subject, but there was an incident yesterday of somebody who tried to commit suicide, and he actually tried to gas himself in the car, but he sealed up the garage doors, he sealed the doors inside. He obviously was serious about trying to kill himself, but destiny or fate had it that somebody noticed the car running, broke open the lock and rescued him. In a situation like that, do you actually rescue him, or should you just let him be?
Rescue. Life is very precious, because there is always the possibility of freedom. That is the most important. Rescue.
Even though you might do it again.
No.
But a person like that probably doesn't realize that life is precious.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I can give you case after case. I know of a case where a guru cured one of his disciples' cancer. But she spent the rest of her life drinking. Now, you understand what I'm trying to say? But that's not for us to decide. So, life has brought this in front of us and we have to use our intelligence. In my case, when I was working with these drug people, I had one person who came, and he was the son of the deputy governor of the Reserve Bank. He used to take 150 Valium per day. 50 for breakfast, 50 for lunch, 50 for dinner. When he came in my camp, 2 people had to hold him. From that he started these exercises, and then he got better, and then they go back. And you have to live with this, because you can't say, oh, I worked so much on him, now it's all a waste. And I was in Porbandar once, and he called me from Bombay that I closed the garage door, the pipe is in my mouth, and I've just called to say goodbye. I'm just switching on the engine like you're saying. Luckily, I called somebody in Andheri, that fellow called somebody, his neighbor, and they were able to rescue him. They took him to the hospital. But now also, he's still drinking himself too. Yeah. So, I mean, we try. But that doesn't have to be a success. The only way I can thank the Guru is to try. Because the Guru has already given me everything. I don't want anything. You get what I'm trying to say? So I have to just spend the rest of my life thanking him. Right? So it's the only way. Right? So somebody gives me an opportunity to help, I thank. Right? So we help. But suicide is a very dangerous sanskar. If you see in Gurdjieff's life, he allowed himself to get into an accident. And he had fractures all over the body. Right? And from what my understanding is, that there is this pattern of suicide somewhere within us. If we have done it at some time, then it persists. And we must come to a state of death and come back from that state to be able to be free of that pattern. Even with the Swami Ramdulare, I was with him, but before I met him, he was staying in one place called Khamgaon in Maharashtra. Now, there was a young boy of 20 or 21 and he said that I have to drive to Bombay. So Bapu told him that don't drive to Bombay. And the boy said, "Hey, I have to go." So he said, "I'm coming with you." The car had an accident. Right? Now nothing happened to the boy, he totally covered him, but there were multiple fractures throughout his body. So many times I feel that those who have this pattern lying in the subconscious, they do something like this to be free of that pattern. Otherwise, that pattern is very difficult to get over once you've committed suicide. And it lasts for at least 7 lifetimes. That is why it is worth helping. Yes.
On Sunday evening, you spoke about the effects of water, fire, ether, etc. I got the impression that in a 24-hour day, each segment was allotted a certain characteristic. Could you elaborate on that? And how does one use that in your life to enhance it?
There is a shastra called Swar Nadi. Swar, breath, Nadi, pulse. Before I go, I've been trying in the last 2 days to write something down, but it's not coming. Right? This is a very, very detailed shastra, but I'll try and take one talk on it. The 5 tattvas and what they mean, what are their positive phases, what are their negative phases, what kind of diseases come with each tattva, and how the prana changes to give the chogadiyas of the day. I'll try my best. See, I don't have my notes over here. Right? And these are handwritten notes. I don't even know where I put them because this subject came up, I think, in your question or one of your questions, and we just talked about it that day. But I'll try and do something before I go. Okay.
So related to that, on the same night you mentioned that the moon is your left nostril, and normally the people who breathe through that, they tend to be more depressive. So does it imply that if you close the left nostril, you can reverse that depression?
No. Block the right nostril. Don't block the...
You say the sun.
Yes, but block the right nostril. Today's depression is overcharged thinking. It's not a depression out of not thinking. Those days are gone. Everybody is overusing this thing. So the depression is more from negative imagination, negative thinking. You understand what I'm trying to say? Oh, this will happen to me and that will happen to me. So block the right nostril. Don't block the left nostril.
Is that now only in that period 1 to 4?
Just now 1 to 4. In rare cases, I tell people sunrise to sunset. Right? But many times when my son was studying in the night and he would say, I can't concentrate, I said, block the right nostril. So then you have to be a little practical. I'll take that. I'll try and write those notes, and I'm leaving on the 27th, so at least by 25th or 26th I'll try and take that one talk on the pranas and the 5 tattvas. So we meet day after tomorrow. Close our eyes. Breathe in the music. Feel the breath as it moves in and out. The breath merges with the blood and moves throughout the body. Sense this, feel this. We'll relax the body. Use our attention to relax the body. Take your attention to the head. Relax the head, the forehead, the eyes and around the eyes, the ears, the nose, 2 cheeks, the lips, inside the mouth, the teeth, the gums, tongue, the chin. Relax the jawbone, the neck, the 2 shoulders, the 2 hands, the back, the chest, the stomach, the 2 legs. Feel the whole body, it's deeply relaxed. Feel the emptiness, just the breath moving in and out. In that emptiness, fill it with your own feeling of I, with your own presence. આપણા હોવાપણાથી ખાલી જગ્યા ભરી દો. હું છું. હું ઘરે આવી ગયો છું. I've come home. Feel the presence. The heaviness of presence. The deep relaxation the presence brings. How all thoughts vanish when we are present. No future, no past. Just presence. Hold the presence. Feel the breath. Feel the presence. Feel both together. Divide your attention. One arrow on the breath, breathing. One arrow on I am. The body-brain system is breathing and I am watching. Just a witness. Hold both the feelings, the feeling of breath and the feeling of presence. Slowly the music will die down. Keep holding both the feelings. We are together for the next 1.25 hours. Try to hold your presence throughout the session. Slowly open your eyes. Very good. Yes. Now we take the next sutra, sutra number 5. Vrittaya, Panchataya, Klishta, Aklishta. These vrittis are 5 or 5-fold. Klishta, Aklishta. They are painful or they are not painful. Now, this is the normal translation that the vrittis are 5 or 5-fold. Later we'll go into the vrittis, what are these vrittis? Right knowledge, wrong knowledge, imagination, memory and sleep. These are the 5 vrittis. Now, we have seen that universal mind flows into the body-brain system every second. It's a very fascinating science, and this science has been given by my guru, so you won't find it anywhere else. He calls these impressions which come in as packets of energy, and each packet is structured in tamas, rajas and sattva. We have not yet talked about the 3 forces, so later on we will be talking about it. Now, what comes into the mind is universal, into the body-brain system is universal mind. Through a process of the brain, through a process of thinking, through the use of the chitta, which my teacher has translated the word chitta as thinking instrument. And the impression which is coming in, he calls as incoming impulse. And the thinking instrument takes that incoming impulse, right? And it modifies it. Right? So, this modification is of 5 kinds or 5-fold. Each modification will have one of these things or all 5 of these things. Right knowledge, wrong knowledge, imagination, memory or sleep. This is the modification of the universal mind as individual mind. જેમ આપણી અંદર શ્વાસ આવે છે અને જાય છે, એમ ભગવાનનું મન હર ક્ષણે આપણી અંદર આવે છે અને જાય છે. જ્યારે ભગવાનનું મન આપણી અંદર હોય ત્યારે આપણે એને ઇન્ડિવિજ્યુઅલ માઇન્ડ, વૈશ્વિક મન, વ્યક્તિગત મન, એ જે ઇન્ડિવિજ્યુઅલ માઇન્ડ છે એ ભગવાનના મનનું મોડિફિકેશન છે, એનું એક કંઈક રૂપાંતરણ છે, એમાં કંઈક ફેરફાર કરી નાખે છે. એટલે જે અંદર આવ્યું આપણે એને જોઈ નથી શકતા અને જે આપણે બનાવ્યું એને આપણે જોઈએ છીએ, એટલે સત્યને જોઈ નથી શકતા. I don't know if I'm coming across in this. We do not see things as they are. This seeing of things as they are is what is called as Yoga Darshan. The perceiving consciousness, seeing things as they really are. But when something comes into our body-brain system as an event, as an impression, we modify it as individual mind through our memory, through our patterns, through our sanskars. There is a modification, and these modifications are of 5 kinds. So, Vrittaya, Panchataya. The mind can be in any one or all 5 of these states. And as long as the mind is in any one of these states, we do not have darshan, we do not see the truth. Because previously he has already told us, yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. Yoga is the stopping, the nirodha of these vrittis. Unless these vrittis have calmed down, unless these vrittis have stopped, there is no seeing of the truth. We always see what is modified. Now he says that these modifications are painful or not painful. And this is the normal translation everywhere in all commentaries. That is, these vrittis are subject to pleasure or pain. They can be a source of anguish or non-anguish. Now, I'll just go a little bit into the science. One day we'll go deep into it. Did I take it last year? Did I take it last year? See, if I see an event, I'm looking at this. This is coming into my body-brain system as an event, as an impression. My guru says it is coming as an impulse. He calls the impression as an incoming impulse. And he says this is matter in an electronic state. It is matter in a very high state of vibration. This is, when I pay attention to this is broken down into matter, and that matter is electromagnetic impulses. They come in through my 5 senses, and how many of these impulses are flowing into the body-brain system every second? He says 30,000. 30,000 of these impulses are flowing in. Now, I hope you remember when we talked about sun, planets, earth. We talked about a few days ago. And we said life comes from the sun. Form comes from the planets, material comes from the earth. The sun is, the life which is coming is matter in electronic form. The sun, swaha, it comes from swaha. The form which is coming from the planets is matter in molecular form, bhuva. The matter which is coming from the earth is matter in physical form, material, bhu. It is the meeting of this bhu, bhuva, swaha which creates a life, From the sun, swaha, from the planets, bhuva, and from the earth, bhu. Now try to see that these impulses, when I'm looking at you, I'm looking at light. It is light which is coming in. And this light is consciousness, it is God, it is life. If I knew how to look at you properly, I would see God. Only I modify it inside, so I cannot see the truth. Can you see? It is this perception which Krishna is talking about. He is telling Arjun, you cannot kill anybody, you can only kill the form. You cannot kill the person because life cannot be killed, only the form can be killed. You see? But we don't have that perception. We talk about it in our philosophy. It's very nice to talk about it. But we don't have that perception. Whilst Krishna is telling Arjun, okay, I have that perception. I see that in the person which cannot be killed. And you are looking at as if everything is being killed. It's not possible. So, when you are coming into me, it is light coming into me. It is matter in electronic form. Swaha Lok is penetrating through us every moment. Now, out of that, the thinking instrument is matter in molecular form. It has a form. It has a form. It is not an electronic instrument. It is a molecular instrument. So there is a step down of energy. 30,000 come in, but it cannot cope with 30,000. It cannot cope with 30,000. Actually, many things happen to that 30,000, but it will become complicated, so I won't take it here. It cannot cope, but it can, because it is matter in molecular form, it steps down the energy, and out of those 30,000 impulses, it makes 120 thoughts. Each second, we are a factory making 120 thoughts. Can you see what I'm trying to say? એટલે જીવન ઇનકમિંગ ઇમ્પલ્સ તરીકે 5 ઇન્દ્રિયોમાંથી અંદર આવે છે. આ પેકેટ ઓફ એનર્જી છે. કેટલા અંદર આવે છે? 30,000 અંદર આવે છે. પણ એ 30,000 ઇલેક્ટ્રોનિક મેટર છે, સૂર્યનો મેટર છે, સ્વહલોકનો મેટર છે. આપણું જે બ્રેઇન છે, જેને આપણે બોડી બ્રેઇન સિસ્ટમ જે કહીએ છીએ, જે બ્રેઇન છે, થિંકિંગ ઇન્સ્ટ્રુમેન્ટ, વિચારવાનું જે યંત્ર છે, એની કેપેસિટીની બહાર આ વસ્તુ છે. એટલે એ એક સેકન્ડના 120 જ વિચાર બનાવી શકે છે 30,000 માંથી. But we are not even aware of 120 thoughts per second. We don't even know of the traffic which is going on in our minds, in our brains. Now, those thoughts are formed over here. There is a small chakra called taluka, which we would call the medulla oblongata. And the thoughts pass over the brain and they come to, this is the TV screen of the brain. Like we have the TV screen of the computer. And the thoughts are registered over here. That is, the decoding is made available on the screen. Out of those 120 thoughts, a very intelligent person, most intelligent, because the impulses in the brain can travel at 16 per second. This is the speed of our physical brain. It is an idiot, this physical brain. And even though it is one of the most mysterious things in the whole universe. So this brain can decode 16 thoughts per second. Its maximum speed. We are not even aware of 16. This decoding is done in a language. So just think of language as material, the earth. Right? What is coming in is swahalok, an impulse. It is coming in as electronic matter. It touches this thing called the thinking instrument, which is molecular matter, that transforms it into molecular matter. 120 thought forms. This is not language. This is thought before language. It flows here and I give 16 of those if I'm very intelligent. Most of us is between 10 and 12. We are murmuring inside, muttering inside at 10 to 12 thoughts per second. Now am I coming clear? This is the physical form of thought. It has been given a language in the brain, what we call as Vaikhari Shabda. What happens to the rest? What happens to the rest? Now, out of those 30,000 which come in, actually only 10,000 hit the thinking instrument. The rest 20,000 goes somewhere else. I'll talk about it some other time. But out of those 10,000 which hit it, it is able to make how many thoughts? 120. So 10,000 minus 120, they vanish in an area in the brain which is called the Bindu Chakra, the silent area. They vanish. What happens to them, we don't know. We don't know. Right? The rest become 120 thoughts and they travel like this up here. And here they are decoded into language. They are given a body of language. They don't have a body, they only have a form. But now the building is built. The body is given, of language is given. So supposing I give 16 out of 120 language, what happens to the other 104? The other 104 flow out from the Ajna Chakra every second as exhaust fumes, like the exhaust of a car. Every moment I am throwing out polluted thought matter. Can you, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say. Now supposing I am structured in a certain way, mechanically structured in a certain way, which my Guru calls as 248. That is, out of these 120 thoughts, right? Supposing we just say 140 thoughts to make it easy. 20 thoughts have sattva, right? 80 thoughts have tamas. They are loaded with sex and aggressiveness. And 40 thoughts have rajas. So, can you see what quality of matter I am throwing out? What quality of matter I am throwing out each second? Because this monkey is chattering at 14 to 16 per minute or 12 to 16 per second. Sorry, it is chattering. And the rest of the substance is all thrown out.
Is that the same as wasted energy?
Pardon?
Is that the same as wasted energy?
It is form. It is form because it is molecular matter. It is thought which has not been given the coating of language. Right? So it is form. And it becomes again goes into become matter for somebody else's incoming thoughts. Like you breathe out and I breathe in. Right? And they say that with every breath we take, some of the molecules are the same breath which Buddha was taking. Right? So when it is in you, you say my breath, and when it is in me, I say my breath. But when it comes out as exhaust, these thoughts, later on they become matter for somebody else's thoughts. Right?
Rajendra, where does it reside when it comes out? Is it just into the atmosphere?
It is prana.
It is just prana.
Prana.
So then that means that you never have an original thought.
It's very difficult. Very difficult to have an original thought. You use everything from the universal mind. So it becomes a part of universal mind again.
So then, things being mechanical.
Consciousness. That which observes thought is not thought. So then there can be a different form of thinking. We can take the impression from someone else. Let me just draw something for you.
What I want to know is, what is the quality of a pure thought? What would that be?
No, it is pure universal mind coming in. We have modified it and thrown it out. Again, it is pure universal mind coming in. Again, we have modified it and thrown it out.
But it becomes food, it becomes what you throw out.
Yeah, becomes, yes, okay. Now, so just tell me, what have you understood by this?
That there is energy coming in, but what is extracted or what is given off, someone else can pick it up, and you think it's yours, but it's not yours, because it has come from me expelling my thoughts.
No. Supposing we say it is structured in tamas, rajas and sattva. See, here the problem is I have not talked about tamas, rajas. I am just, assuming that everybody knows everything. Right? Tamas, rajas and sattva. Supposing I say it is structured in tamas, rajas and sattva. Right? So now we have seen, just one minute, that out of 140 thoughts which I have produced, right, 20 are of sattva. Now, if I can bring consciousness, the pause, then this ratio changes to 5 to 2. 5 to 2. So say out of 10 thoughts which I am producing, right, more than half are of sattva. I have changed the ratio. So now the polluted matter which I am throwing out is of a higher kind. You understand what I am trying to say? Now, I think I got into some problems. Supposing we say that reaction comes from the Manipur chakra. Just suppose. It is true, but we just now take it as a supposition. Right? Okay, reaction je આવે છે Manipur chakra. Right? As long as the Manipur is powerful, right? What will come in? These impulses are coming in and they are traveling up the backbone. They are traveling up the backbone. How many are coming in? 30,000. They are traveling up the backbone and they come to a place here. They come to a place here. Right? Now, supposing the Manipur chakra is over here, right? And as the impulse, it has already a fixed pattern that I want to react. I want to react. See, the Manipur chakra contains all our animal memories. All the memory of evolution. This is our, what do you call? It's the dung house. It is the dung house, gaman. Right? And it's not been cleaned for thousands and thousands of years. Right? So the minute an impulse comes in, the first thing it puts in, react. It puts in, react. Now, supposing we bring in consciousness over here. We bring in consciousness. So, if it reacts, either it will be rajas or tamas, 8 or 4. 2, 4, 8. Either 4 or 8 if it reacts. Now, we bring in a pause over here, and instead of that impulse going to the Manipur chakra or even the Manipur, we create a new impulse out of even the reaction Manipur has created, and we send it to a new chakra over here called Kundali. These two are in pairs, Manipur and Kundali. It is a small chakra next to the Manipur.
What's the name again?
Kundali, not Kundalini, Kundali. 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 We send and that says that we don't want to react. Now the impulse which is coming in is of a different quality after the decoding totally. So this is done when we are doing the phase exercises. We'll come to a point where we are rotating the prana between Manipur and Kundali. We will close this chakra and open this small chakra. We will be free of reactions in our life. Right? This is a very, very, very high state we are talking about. But let's say the impression has gone further up. So we have something in us called conscience. I'll talk about conscience tomorrow or day after. Yes, because as a part of this sutra, I'd like to talk about conscience. So supposing we say, okay, conscience એટલે વિવેક એટલે પ્રકાશ. એટલે એ ઇમ્પલ્સ રિએક્શન મણિપુર મૂકી દીધું, રિએક્શન નો સંસ્કાર એ ઇમ્પલ્સ માં મૂકી દીધું મણિપુર. અને એ ઇમ્પલ્સ ઉપર ગયું તો હજી આપણી પાસે ચાન્સ ક્યાં છે? આપણો વિવેકનો ઉપયોગ કરીને એને બદલાવી શકાય છે. Right? So we will talk about that, where the conscience takes the impulse and again decodes it in another way, totally new way. So this in short, I'll go into this science later. The impulse comes in 120 patterns from our memory. આપણી પાસે જે સંસ્કારનો ભંડાર છે. We have in us a whole library of sanskars. See, this is the memory pool of the brain. This memory pool is divided into two parts: memory shallow, memory deep. When I recognize you, it is memory shallow. But when I get angry on you, it is memory deep. It is not just now, it is thousands and thousands of years of anger. સમજાય છે હું શું કહેવા માંગુ છું? જ્યારે તમને ઓળખું છું એ મારી shallow memory છે. પણ જ્યારે તમારી ઉપર હું ગુસ્સો કરું છું એ shallow memory નથી. એ સંસ્કારના ભંડારમાંથી આવે છે. So the impulse comes in, and from the sanskar, a sanskar goes to meet the impulse and it decodes the impulse. It decodes the impulse. એનો અર્થ કાઢે છે. એનો અર્થ કાઢે છે. Right? અને then it becomes 120 thoughts. So what goes into a thought? The impulse which has come in, the pattern which came to meet it, sanskar mati, the pattern, and one more thing which we will see later, it is a medium over there. This meeting has to happen in a certain medium. But we just keep it for the stuff. That two things go into the making of a thought. The impulse plus memory. It is impulse plus memory pattern. Yeah.
Is that the point at which you can change your DNA or your destiny, depending on how the reaction takes place?
Let's take this sutra. I think your question will be answered in this. I think your question. If it's not, we'll take it at the end. Now try to see that the incoming impulse, whatever its structure, supposing I'm seeing a scene of somebody killing something. So I will say this scene is not a harmonious scene. Right? But it is coming in as an incoming impulse. You get what I'm trying to say? Try to understand this, because now the incoming impulse is structured in tamas, rajas and sattva. So I'll say this scene has less sattva, it has more rajas. Am I coming across in this? Because somebody is killing somebody, or somebody may be hitting somebody with a whip. Right? And I'm seeing that scene is coming in, it is structured in tamas, rajas, sattva. I'll say, ama rajas vadhare છે, tamas vadhare છે. Sotiથી mare છે. But that does not mean that I mechanically decode the rajas and the... It is still in my hand, even from that scene, to decode the sattva. Am I now coming across? And this is the introduction of consciousness. Samjhay છે what I'm trying to say? Is the incoming impulse, it may be structured of the lowest quality, still it is absolutely neutral. It is absolutely neutral. Just because mechanically over ages I have a sanskar to react to some scenes does not mean I can not change that reaction, and instead of rajas and tamas extracting from it, I can extract sattva, even from the worst scene in life. Because when it comes in, it is neutral. Right? It is neutral. It is loaded in tamas, rajas and sattva. It may be more this, more that. Some scenes have more sattva. It does not matter. But if I am totally in a state of rajas, I may not decode the sattva at all. I will only decode the rajas and tamas. It may be a very high scene, maybe arti in a temple, but I may be having thoughts of sex. Can you now understand what I am trying to say? So, the scene may have a lot of sattva in it. What difference does it make? It makes no difference. Because at that time I am thinking of my girlfriend whom I am going to meet at night. You see? So, the scene has a lot of sattva, but I am decoding only the tamas from it. Only the tamas from it. So, everything which comes in is neutral. It may be any scene. That is why one of the forms of Shiva we call as Rudra. Right? Rudra. Rudayati, that which cries, which makes you cry. Which makes you cry. Rudra Aksha, the eye. The eye. So you wear something so the eye gets the capacity to see even the lowest form of life. That is called Rudraksh. Aksh means the eye. Rudra means angry, the angry eye. You wear the angry eye so you're free of anger. I hope. Right? That is why they call it Rudraksh. So, the introduction of consciousness changes everything, and if it is mechanical, that may have the most sattva. What difference does it make? Makes no difference.
So if there's a murder scene, if someone's murdering somebody.
On TV we see it all the time. Right?
So it's neutral. It comes in neutral.
It comes in neutral.
How then does, in a way, how do you see the sattva in it?
The what?
The sattva. How do you get the sattva quality out of something as gross as someone murdering somebody?
You tell me.
I was looking to my sanskar and change it inside.
No. You tell me. What will you see when you see the truth of the thing? When you see that and the truth can be very harsh. Truth is not there to, give you a chocolate or anything. Truth can be very harsh. What will you see?
Maybe he deserves to be murdered.
He asked
Asked to be murdered.
He asked for it. He invited this. Both are mechanical men. Both are. One has, because of his mechanicalness, stooped to this lower level, and the receiving person, the one who is being murdered, at some point he had put in a thought that I want to die. And you will see the truth of it. That will bring knowledge inside, and you will say what has happened is just a balance of some forces in life. Can you see See, we live in society. For society, murder cannot be allowed. This is a man-made law. Right? A young lion murders an old lion or gets rid of it from the pride. So this is a man-made law. And sometimes the lion is not so old, so the young comes to murder him, but he kills the younger one. Till then he's still master of the pride. You understand? In nature, there is no murder. We don't say the lion murdered the other one. Only in man we say, because man has self-consciousness. With killing somebody, I am killing his capacity for self-consciousness. That is why we call it murder. So I have to stoop to a very deep level of identification to murder somebody. So I am already cursed. By murdering somebody, I am already cursed. Because I have had to fall to this level. And that sanskar of falling is going to repeat and repeat. So there is no need for any punishment. I am already punished. I am already punished. And the person who's being, I will see the truth of why he invited this event in life. Can you see? And that is the decoding of the sattva. You will see as it is. This is called Yog Darshan. The perception of seeing the truth in everything. Just now we modify everything. That is why it says Vruttaya Panchataya Klishta Aklishta. So every modification is a reaction, negative or not negative. Right use of attention and right use of mind can free us from this reaction. This is our aim in life, to be free of reaction. This is all yoga is concerned with. Please understand this. This is all yoga is concerned with. The impression comes in, can we bring consciousness? That is all yoga is interested in. Yoga is not interested in which food you eat, what clothes you wear, what else you do in life. It is not interested in any of that. It is interested in only one thing. When the impression comes in, do you react or do you bring in consciousness? That is all that yoga is about. So right use of mind will lead to real I. Right use of attention will lead to real I. And wrong use will of course lead to many eyes. Chaos inside. Many voices, contradictory, confusing, antagonistic to one another, maybe insanity. Try to see the analogies over here. The body has 5 sense organs. It has 5 organs of action. And there are 5 modifications. They can never lead to ananda. They can never lead to bliss. Why? Why?
First of all, it always changes and short level.
Huh?
First of all, it always changes and it's short level.
No, but why can these modifications never lead to a state of bliss?
Because they're not there
Because bliss is the nature of the real I. Bliss is the nature of the real I. And as long as we are in a modification, there is no real I. It is the intrinsic nature of the real I. Try to see that when we are in a painful state, we become closed, and when we are in a happy state, we become open. Painful, not painful. Now, I want to just change this a little over here. This is something which is just an understanding which has come on the path. So maybe you will say it's not written in any commentary then. Klishta aklishta. Can we change it? Don't go by the literal meaning which is written over here. Pain, not painful. We won't go by the meaning. Can we change the meaning to mean Klisht means I sow a seed for future repetition, and aklisht means I do not sow the seed for future repetition. Vrittis are of two kinds, Klisht and aklisht. In one, by the mind going into that vritti, by I becoming that vritti, I am sowing the seed for future repetition. And this is what I call as painful. Klish. Now try to understand. At present it may be pleasurable. It may be pleasurable. It may be happy. Right? You may say you gave a very good lecture. And I may feel happy, uplifted. Right? But if my ego is increasing, then I am sowing a seed for future. I'm going to ask for the same thing tomorrow. So I am sowing, even though it is not painful, it is still klishta. This is my interpretation of this. This is a totally different thing which I am trying to look at the Yog Sutra in a different way. So because there are thousands of commentaries on the Yog Sutra, and this everybody has translated language and non-language and painful and not painful. But it doesn't make sense on the science of spirituality. It has to make some sense that what do we mean by klishta aklisht? That which will lead to klesh. Klesh means sowing the seed of karma. By this action, have I sown a seed, or was I able to do the action without sowing the seed? Now am I coming across? If I've sown the seed, it is going to lead to something in the future, some future repetition. So I have tried to change this meaning over here of klishta or klisht. And if we see the English words clash, the English words conflict, they seem to come out of this, this root word of Sanskrit, klish. Klish, right? So, klesh, we'll later go into the 5 kleshas. Klesh is the seed of suffering. It is the seed of future repetition. Right? And there are 5 types of kleshas which we will see later on. Avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh and abhinivesh. These are the 5 kleshas. But at the moment of taking in the impression, at the moment of the mind modifying, creating the thought, was there a seed sown for future repetition? Even if it, at that moment, if it is a non-painful state, a happy state, because you have been bounded in future repetition, it is painful. It is painful. Only we cannot see the pain. Pain, it is hidden in the non-painful. I think I'm answering it a little bit. Destiny. Okay. Can we see that we are in one big pain factory. Can we see that we are in one big pain factory? That we are used by the cosmic intelligence and it has only one aim: create more pain. Can we see that? See, when we look at nature and we see the way there's violence in nature, violence is an intrinsic part of nature. And when an animal is being killed by another animal, the animal is suffering, it is in pain, and it is letting out an inner cry. It is letting out an inner cry. Andathi ek cheek paade chhe. Right? Does this inner cry become the food for which the cosmic mind wants? Okay. Its only aim in creating organic life is to create the food for suffering. And in that suffering, that plant, that animal on the verge of death is releasing some very fine energy which nature takes up and uses for her cycle of creation and evolution. And all she has created, this organic life, is one big pain factory.
So why does it have to be painful energy, not the other way around? Why does she need pain?
Because she will not throw it out. It is only in deep pain, in deep suffering that we give out that cry. Otherwise we are not going to give out that cry. Right? And in that cry she gets that energy, the intensity of the energy she wants.
My question is that why must she want that negative, painful energy as opposed to wanting from us the positive energy when we die? Why
because positive has no intensity.
Why does it need to be painful for her to create? Why does she?
It is only that intensity which allows her to use it on a higher scale. The scales change from individual to universal. Right? And if the energy does not have the intensity, it is not, at the moment of death, it is not going to penetrate that time and space. Now you understand that when you are looking at an animal die, if you can see the sattva, that it is just a part of one big pain factory. This is why nature did it. Yeah.
But pain and non-pain is also a perception. Pain and non-pain is also a sense, a perception.
In what sense?
Like you know, use that example of you seeing the animal being killed and that cry. You don't have to see it as pain.
That is what I'm trying to tell her. That is what I'm trying to tell her, that you see it as a part of a whole cosmic design. Right? But I cannot see. And I'm frightened of suffering myself. You get what I'm trying to say? And then I cannot stand the suffering of the animal.
Because you identify with
I identify myself with that pain.
Now, how can we explain this when it's a slaughter?
Pardon?
You know, when people slaughter the sheep, how do we explain that? See, the suffering we see in the animal. For us, it's suffering. For the other person who's slaughtering, it's not a suffering.
Yeah, but it is not a slaughtering in the sense, it is not a pain in the sense that he has become indifferent to it. He has not become conscious of it. In consciousness, you will feel the pain much deeper than you may feel it as much as the animal is feeling it, but still you know the reality of it. Try to understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not talking about a dead state. I may become a dead person and just be a living dead, and I can take a knife and start killing animals. Right? But that does not mean because I've understood this. When you're in consciousness, you may feel the pain more than the animal is feeling it. You understand? But still you know the truth of it. You're not a dead person. Whilst those who are slaughtering have become dead. Not dead in that sense, but they have become, sort of used to it. Right? It's a mechanical thing for them. But there have been cases in the Mahabharata where that the butcher, where Swami goes for knowledge, and there are 5 chapters in the Mahabharata where the butcher gives knowledge. And he says, my role in life is to kill animals and to sell the meat. The butcher is saying it. He's saying, this is my role in life. Right? And I play my role in life. Here. So, it's a different level of sensitivity. Yeah? What I'm trying to say is that we are in this big pain factory, and somebody is using us to provide certain material. Only in pain do we release sufficient quantity of this material. All organic life, this sensitive film covering earth, is a transmitter of this force. To be free of just being a slave to nature. This is what our purpose is. We must wake up. And man provides much subtler pain than animals and plants. Right? Take all the psychological pain that arises in man. From imaginary I. From false personality. All our envies. All our jealousies. All our hatreds. Think of all the unhappiness of not being recognized, of not being appreciated, by not receiving what life we feel should owe us, by depression, by not being the success we wanted to be, and 1,000 and more subtle forms of pain which man goes through. He is throwing out this matter all the time. Now, some people say we are happy, right? So someone compliments our dress, or something we did, maybe we acted in a drama or something, right? And somebody compliments us, and you did well, and our imaginary I is satisfied. And it becomes stronger. And we have this false feeling of peace inside, of upliftment, of being happy that everybody loves us. And someone else comes and says how old-fashioned your dress is. And that drama which you gave, you did not do your best in it. You weren't even looking good in it. Peace is gone. This is what we are made of. We are worse than glass. Brittle. We are made and broken. Love is gone. We start hating everybody. Just 5 minutes ago we were loving everybody. This is our state, inner state. And this is what nature wants. We keep on moving from this one state to the other state. And this is where observation comes in. Till we realize that we are just mechanically moving from one state to another. We are a part of a big factory. We cannot separate from the factory. We must allow our imaginary I to weaken. Allow it to weaken. Don't use such statements as, how dare you speak to me like that? It only strengthens the imaginary I. Don't you know who I am? Try to see inside that this is a false master who is trying to enslave us. Don't you know who I am? And we have followed this same master for thousands of lifetimes. Try to be free of it. It is just an imagination. This master we are following inside is just a figment of our imagination. See how we shift, the I shifts. We are talking on the phone with somebody we love. We have this beautiful feeling of love. We are talking with her or him. And suddenly there is some disturbance in the phone and we get irritated. Just a second ago you were in love. How can that love change to irritation? How can it change to irritation? But we have to be hypnotized. We have to be identified. And it changed to irritation because that cosmic mind made it change into irritation. So we throw it out. See, we are so weak and brittle. So weak and brittle. And this whole thing of painful, not painful, to separate from it. Now, so what we say, that as long as we remain the same people, the same person, we will keep on attracting the same things in life. If I am mean today, I will be mean tomorrow. And it will just continue. I will always remain mean. If I am a liar today, I will be a liar tomorrow. Nothing changes. So the impulses which come in, the situations may change, the people may change, everything may change, but we never change. We keep on taking it in the same old way. And this wheel of sansar just repeats inside. It is a continuous repetition. Wherever we go to a beautiful place, we go to a hill station, whatever we do, this wheel of sansar keeps on repeating. It is the same thing. You will go to a beautiful holiday resort or something and you will get angry on the waiter. It is the same thing. Nothing changes. We can only experience ourselves and nothing else. And this continual procrastination, that I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Right? People say, I want to do the exercise, but I'll come maybe next week or something. Do it tomorrow. And they don't understand that unless you do it now, it is never going to be done. People sometimes, tragedies in life can be used. Today I got a phone from a friend. Now his mother has got liver cancer. So he was very upset and everything. So I said, let's see it the other way. Let's see the other way. Do I know when I'm going to die? I don't know when I'm going to die. But now your mother knows when she is going to die. I mean, this is a revelation. Ordinary man does not know when he is going to die. Now, your mother knows when she is going to die. This is a big thing. Now, she has so much time. What does she want to do with that time? And we keep on putting off today what we should be doing today for tomorrow. But if I know I'm going to die in 3 months, will I put it off for tomorrow? I won't put it off for tomorrow. I'll do it now. And maybe those 3 months I'll be able to live more intensely than I lived the whole of my life. Just because I know death is round the corner. And we used to do this exercise, the Guru used to keep on. You have to live every day 1 hour as if it's the last hour in your life. I have a friend, and his father is over 80 now. And when his father was very young, in his early 20s, he used to trade in the cotton market in those days. They used to have a big cotton market in India. And there were people from Pakistan who used to come to trade. And in the Pakistan means they have one caste called the Multanis. And the Multanis, they have it in their blood to speculate. They know when prices are going to go up, when prices are going to go. It's in their blood to speculate. So this one old man, this Multani, was observing this young boy in the market. And he said, "Will you come to meet me on a Sunday?" So he says, "I'll come." So he went to meet him. Now, in the 1920s, when this old man was a young child, his father, even though they have speculation in their blood, he had sent him to America to learn trading in the stock market from the greatest trader in those days, whose name was William Gann. So he says, "I learned from Gann for 2 years, and then I came back to Pakistan, and then I amalgamated Gann's theories into our old Multani system." And he says, "I would not pass on this knowledge to anyone, but I want to give it to you. This is my friend's father." Friend's father. "Will you take it from me? Then you come for tuitions. I'll teach you everything I know." So, over a period of 1 year, he passed on everything to this young boy. Now, this friend, I met him in one of the drug addict camps. And broken marriage, on drugs, came out of drugs, and then after that he was doing something, but he had no job. He was at an age where now you cannot get a job or anything. And so many years you've been on drugs, it's difficult to come back into society. So he could not talk to his father. He still had that knot, because that I went on drugs because of my father, even though he had left drugs. So one day we were talking about this last hour exercise. I said that if you were in the last hour of your life, would you hold this knot with your father, or would you dissolve it? He said, "I'll dissolve it." So I said, "This is the last hour. He may die after 1 hour. Go and be finished with it." So he went and dissolved that with his father, sat with his father, and they got through that. Every night now they sit and they have a glass of whiskey together. And his father came to me and he said that this knowledge which I got from that person when I was a young, it was going to die with me. Now that my son has come back to me, I can pass it down to him. So it's a very important exercise, the last hour of life. The last hour of life. You have taken 10 rupees from me. You're not giving it back. But if I was in the last hour of life, would I be bothered about the 10 or 1,000 or whatever it is? So it's one exercise which we can do every day. Take 1 hour of the day. Okay. Live it as if you're living the last hour of your life. So don't put off for tomorrow. We keep on. This is an inner, deep, embedded pattern within us that I will do it tomorrow. Self-observation, forget it today. We'll do it tomorrow. And then everything repeats, that same laziness, the same meanness, the same quarrels, same internal consideration, same self-pity, everything. This is what, we are an opera, this self. And we don't want to repeat the same program every day, the same piece of music every day. But that is what we are repeating from morning to evening. We just keep on repeating the same emotions, the same inner thoughts, and everything is the same. And then we will invite the same difficulties, same disappointments again and again. It's very difficult, I understand, because we are living in a very extrovert world, very, very extrovert world, where everybody thinks the solution to all our problems lies in something new. If some new political party, they will solve all the problems. We will see in India now. Nothing changes, nothing can change. Some new invention will come and solve all our problems. So try to see, we have external senses and we have internal senses. And try to detach these two. We are so attached to our external senses that every distraction just takes the attention outside. And we can't hold attention inside. And we don't realize there's a continuous noise coming inside, there's continuous chaos inside, there's continuous trains and traffic jams inside, and we can't see it. And these, as long as the external senses are seeking continuous satisfaction outside, either satisfaction in food, either satisfaction in relationship, we will not separate and go inside. So we'll talk tomorrow or day after about something called conscience, vivek, which takes the external impression and changes it and creates a new internal impression, vivek. It will then, if we can, dig up that conscience which is lying in all of us. It's just lying, we have to it's buried. If we can dig it up, then so many things will change in our life. Then we won't remain in this cozy state of sleep we are in. Now, I want you to see if we can see this in another way. Because before talking about conscience or vivek, I will have to talk about something else, and that is the law of the pendulum. Here Patanjali is trying to say something very deep. That as long as we are a victim of duality, as long as we are a victim of opposites, painful, not painful, we can never be free. We can never be free. We have to rise above the opposites in life. And this is the law of the pendulum. Everything in life is supported by its opposite. It swings between opposites, the pendulum. See, we can see this swinging in nature. In nature, the high tide is followed by the low tide, right? Each season changes. Summer cannot say, I will last forever. Winter comes and stops summer. This change, this law of change, in our Shastra we used to call it as Yam, the god of death. Yam, that which resists, Yam. So the pendulum is moving till here. At one point it stops, and that force which pushes it in the opposite direction is known as Yam. This is the force. And this force is evident everywhere. The sea says, I'll take up all the land, but the sand will stop the sea. And in nature, this is very evident. In man, he cannot see. That is the problem. We are so attached to logical thinking. We are so identified with our logical thinking that we cannot think in terms of two. We always think in terms of one. Even though we know about the other, we cannot think in terms of two. And this is where we are trapped in our logical, in our reasoning brain. Because the logical brain, the reasoning brain is a digital brain. It cannot hold two together. There's always a sequence, one after the other. So we have so many pendulums inside of us, and they keep on swinging from dislike to like, to love, to hate, desire to disgust, certainty and doubt, yes and no, affirmation and negation. This is the story of our life. Where is the pendulum? Where is the pendulum? Today you come to meet me, I'll say no. Tomorrow I'm in a better mood, I'll say yes. The pendulum is swung. And some pendulums, they have short strings, so they keep on swinging. And some have very long strings and we can't see the swing. Can't see the swing. Each has a different length or period. Some swinging fast, some swinging slow. And then there's also the period of the physical body, life to death, birth to death. Now this physical, we swing physically from birth to death, and we do not see the opposite swing. The string is too long, so we can only see one part of the swing, and we can't see the other part. Can we see this as a move between checking and limiting forces? Everything that happens in life happens because of three forces, but we take out one force, put it on the side. Just now we talk about only two forces. Two forces. One checks the other. One is the opposite of the other. See, a few days ago, we talked about Ida Pingla. I don't know if you remember. The solar current called Pingla and the lunar current called Ida. And we said everything in life, all phenomena, all forms, everything in the universe is because of these two forces. Is because of these two forces. Okay? So that is the yoga view. The yoga view. That everything in life happens because of these two forces, the lunar force and the solar force. Of course, there is one force which they put in the middle, but they don't talk much about it, and that is Sushumna. Sushumna, right? The middle force, the middling force. So, everything, now we want to see the same thing psychologically. Put yoga on the side. We try to see the same thing psychologically, that everything moves to a certain extent, then has to come back, and then it goes back. This is not a law, it is just forces at work. Still we call it the law of the pendulum. It is not a law. There's, I think around 200 BC or so, there was a rabbi in Jerusalem, and he wrote a book which is called the Book of Sirach. And it is the All Virtuous Wisdom, which later, after many years, his son published that book. And later on it has become a part of many of the Christians. They take it as a part of the Bible, the Old Testament. And in that it is written, all things are double, one against the other. We cannot see it. I get married to a girl, I can see only the attraction side. I cannot see the repulsion lying within me. If I could see double at that time, if I had Vivek, then I would know I love her today, I am going to hate her tomorrow. And if tomorrow she hates me, it won't disturb me at all. Can you see? The whole relationship will change. Because where there is the law of attraction, there has to be the law of repulsion. Each has to check the other. This is the law, Ida and Pingla. the law. And then why should it disturb me? It just disturb me if tomorrow she says something which I don't like. If tomorrow she insults me, why should it disturb me at all? Because I saw it in the beginning. In the beginning I saw that here was love and hate was hidden, and hate came out and love went in, and love comes out and the pendulum swings. Now, if you realize this, then there can be no violence in the world. But why were you like this yesterday and today how come you changed? And you promised me, you promised you'll never look at another girl. And on the road your eyes went like this. Finished. You could not see the opposite. We all have this one-sided vision. And here in this book, near 2000 years ago, he's saying everything is double, one against the other. It means that to everything there is an opposite through which it exists and by which it is opposed. This is the law of life. I love you because I hate you. This is the law of life. Right? I'm friendly with you, but tomorrow I may be your enemy also. It is hidden inside. It is hidden inside. And these are not two different things. They are one thing. Can I see it as one? Can I have a different vision? Only then will the light of Vivek enter. Because in truth, both are one. The feeling of truth we are going to talk about, I think, tomorrow. Time is up. But we'll continue this law of opposites tomorrow. It's very, very deep. Very deep. And just don't say by just intellectually understanding it, we have understood it. Try to see it in daily life. In everything that is happening, try to see the opposite. Try to see the opposite. And try to use this birth, death. And suddenly a new vision will open up inside, a totally new vision. And in that, you will not see light as separate from darkness. You will see darkness, light are one thing. They are two aspects of the same thing. And then darkness won't frighten you and light won't make you feel happy. Because both are the same thing. Right? So we'll just stop over here. But we'll continue this tomorrow because I wanted to just touch on this because he's saying painful, not painful. Patanjali is talking about something of rising to a state where we are free of both the painful and the non-painful. And that is a different vision in life. This is what he calls as Vivek. Vivek Khyati. Conscience. Right? Okay, I'll stop over here. Thank you. Good night, Jai Shri Krishna.